I didn't think it was possible for Netflix to sink any lower than the Resident Evil or live action Cowboy Bebop show, but somehow they found a way to go even further beyond the Super Saiyan 3 of dog shit. Against all the odds, against science and against God himself, Netflix found a way to dig deeper than the deepest pit of hell to announce a show so foul that even Satan weeps. This isn't satire, it's not April Fools. With a straight face, they announced a live-action Yu Yu Hakusho adaptation. They can't keep getting away with it. This has to be a crime at some point. We have to hold them accountable. They are digging up graves and fucking the corpse right in front of us. This one is extremely painful for me because Yu Yu Hakusho is peak anime to me. This was one of like the big ones for me growing up. I even still own the goddamn Dark Tournament Saga on DVD. I never even opened it because I cherished it so much. So you can imagine how upset I was when I saw the announcement. This news was sadder than the ending to Marley and Me. I felt like I was losing a friend. Or I guess more like I felt like I was watching a friend being held at gunpoint. And they were like trying to ransom, like, hey, subscribe to Netflix or Yu Yu Hakusho gets it. I'm like, no, please let him go. Just a boy. He doesn't deserve it. It doesn't make any sense why they keep doing this. I don't understand. This is like straight out of SpongeBob. How many times do you have to teach you this lesson, old man? All of Netflix adaptations absolutely blow ass. They're all fucking atrocious. It always ends in failure. The live action Cowboy Bebop, absolute catastrophe. Resident Evil, more like Degrassi meets The Walking Dead meets The Dumpster, because it was fucking trash. They also have a live-action One Piece around the corner, which I can't really opine on since it hasn't come out, but I can't imagine it's going to be successful, and now a live-action Yu Yu Hakusho. Why? When they adapt these shows, excluding One Piece since that hasn't come out yet, so I don't know for sure, but like Cowboy Bebop and Resident Evil, they are just not faithful. Like, they take so much creative liberty that they mutilate the property to something unrecognizable, and they do it proudly. They don't even bother trying to get the characters or the story or even basic elements of it to translate to the live action. So why adapt it in the first place? What do you accomplish there? All you do is piss off the built-in fan base, and you lose interest from people that don't know the franchise because the production here isn't good enough to stand on its own two legs. You borrowed a name from a popular franchise and did a shitty job of adapting it, so you lose that fan base, and since it's a shitty adaptation, you lose people that don't even know the franchise in the first place because it's just bad. I also don't understand why they keep putting anime in their crosshairs here. I feel like the Netflix higher-ups just peruse their teenage daughters' Tumblr pages to see what's popular and base their future projects off that. Oh, it looks like anime is really killing it. Let's just go through like beloved anime and start ruining it. That should work for us. It just doesn't compute. I can't process the thinking here. Historically, all live-action anime adaptations have been horrible, except for like a few. The one that pops into my head right away is Alita Battle Angel, but that was also a $200 million budget over the course of many years to make that masterpiece, and it absolutely slapped. But I promise you, Netflix isn't committing that big nut-busting budget to the live-action Yu Yu Hakusho. They probably committed like 10 grand in a Walgreens membership. Just looking at the picture here, it just looks like someone did a fun Photoshop project that Netflix slapped their logo on. Now there's no trailer to like fully judge it on, but just the concept alone is awful. Yu Yu Hakusho, the anime and manga for that matter, ended over 20 years ago. Why are we doing this now? They also teased what the core cast is going to look like in live action, so you have Yusuke, Kurama, Kuwabara, and Hiei, and it's not even to like cosplay level. And again, that's just the problem with going live action with an anime. You can't really translate an anime character to human beings because then it just looks goofy and silly and it just doesn't usually work. And you know what else isn't working? Netflix in general. Netflix is actually just dwindling in popularity. It's been hemorrhaging subscribers, making terrible business decisions, and the stock plummeted recently, but it's been recovering a bit. But I think that's solely because of Stranger Things, but now once people finish that, what do they have left? What do they have to watch on Netflix now? Fucking nothing. Actual dust. The majority of Netflix catalog just isn't good. And then the majority of shows that Netflix themselves produce just aren't interesting. They're not fun to watch. You'd have more fun taking the SATs again than watching a Netflix original. They have a couple bangers like Stranger Things, but once you finish Stranger Things, what do you have left? A barren wasteland. Netflix is like the Fallout universe of streaming. Just empty apocalyptic nothingness. And then the occasional glimmer of hope with a show like Stranger Things, with a show like The Punisher, God rest its soul, canceled too early. But like they occasionally have some great shows on there, but it's very few and far between, and I really do think that is contributing heavily to people abandoning it. It's starting to throw it to the side. Of course, a lot of it's just a natural loss of subscribers to the service because so many people signed up during COVID lockdowns. But now that lockdowns are over, those people are just starting to cancel things like Netflix since they're just too busy. But I also think a large contributing factor is just a shit catalog. They don't have classic shows anymore because all of the great shows they used to have got poached by other streaming services, and their originals just aren't strong enough to keep anybody hooked on the service. So people just leave it behind. And I really think Netflix is in a downward trajectory here, and hopefully they figure it out, but this is not a good sign if they just announced live action Yu Yu Hakusho. It demonstrates a clear lack of understanding of the problem. Nobody wants Netflix adaptations of their favorite properties because they ruin it every time. They bastardize it. They parade it through the streets tarred and feathered. By the time Netflix releases the adaptation, what we get is just an insult, a slap in the face. Nobody is asking for Netflix to take properties and adapt them for a Netflix original. And I don't think there's anyone in the world that wants live action anime. I don't think there's ever really been a huge community of anime enthusiasts that are like, can't wait for the live action, this needs the live action right now. Nobody wants it. Nobody. And yet for some reason they keep trying live action anime. And it looks like they're going to continue to do this till the end of time, until they finally run out of money and scratch their head wondering where it all went wrong, dumping all their budget into a live action anime adaptation of fucking Gurren Lagann next. You know, it doesn't make sense. And it's upsetting to see that because Netflix is very near and dear to me. Of course, being the first major streaming service that I ever subscribed to. I even got my wiener touched by a girl one time when I was watching VHS horror movies with her. Whatever that series was called. I think it was just called VHS. Netflix used to have all of the goofiest stuff, but also all the best stuff too. Great memories with the platform, and now it's just a shell of what it used to be. There used to be a time not that long ago where pretty much any show you wanted to watch, Netflix would have it. But now, anytime you search for a show like, say, Courage the Cowardly Dog, you'll search it up and it'll say, we know you want Courage, we don't have that shit, that's somewhere else. And you'd be like, okay, so they don't have Courage. Then you scratch your chin like, alright, well, how about Adventure Time? I mean, that was like the most popular cartoon back in the mid-2000s, surely they have that. Type it up, oh, you wanted Adventure Time? No, you're on Netflix, we don't have that, absolutely not. So you throw your hands up, you're desperate, like, oh, fuck, what do they have? How about Friends? What about Friends? I mean, like every streaming service in the world has Friends. I imagine it's here. You type it in, nope, not here either. It's just baffling how weak the selection is on Netflix. And they also greenlight the most awful ideas ever, like Cuties. Jesus Christ. Like they actually put on the worst ideas imaginable and put money behind it as a Netflix original. And there is no better example of that than Cuties, which honestly should have had Netflix thoroughly investigated for that shit. Absolutely disgusting. Netflix is just making all of the worst decisions over the last couple years or so, and it doesn't seem like they're getting it at all. Netflix originals are still synonymous with garbage, and they keep raising like the subscription prices, trying to crack down on password sharing, and then they recently sacked their entire animation department. Oh, we're losing money. Probably those fucking animators' fault. For no reason. Like, they don't understand. And it's fucking upsetting. And now they're taking a property that I love, Yu Yu Hakusho, and most likely are going to ruin it. If this show ends up being good, I will be beyond surprised. I will be beyond shocked if this show is even somewhat redeemable, even somewhat enjoyable. I would be elated, honestly. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this, and that's about it. See ya.